All right, everybody, we are live again. I'm excited to talk to you guys today about how to choose the right health share for you and your family. That's probably one of the biggest questions that I get is, they've learned about health shares, they're curious about health shares, they want to learn more about them, but ultimately they want to find which health share is best for them and their families. So, today, we're going to talk about a lot of different things, and some of them are going to be maybe something that you already know and already aware of, and maybe very obvious. But then we're going to talk about some things that you might not have considered when looking into a health share. And I think it's really important to know these things before you join. So let's begin. So I think the first thing that people are concerned about is the monthly cost. What is this going to cost me? What is this going to, how much are we going to be paying for this health share? And what am I going to get from it? And so that's ultimately what the member guidelines are going to explain to you. But I want to make sure that, yes, you're looking at the monthly cost, but you're also looking at what is it going to cost if something small were to happen and if something large, like a large medical bill were to happen. So, for example, does this health share pay for any preventive care? Do they pay for an annual wellness visit? Are there any caps on that annual wellness visit? Is that going to be enough to pay for that annual wellness, or are you going to pay for anything yourself out of pocket? These are things that are just good to know. I don't think they might, for a lot of people, that's not going to be a deal breaker, but it's just good to know. Another thing is if you were to have a large medical bill, what are you, the member, responsible for paying? So if you had a $3 million medical bill, are you going to pay, $1,000 or $15,000? That's good to know. And so I think that's what a lot of people are aware of when they join a health share. So we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that. So something that will help you decide which health share is going to be right for you and your family is to look at the faith requirements or lifestyle requirements. So there are religious health shares, and they're going to have faith requirements. Some of them are going to say you have to go to church every week, or you have to get signed off by a religious leader to say that you are going to church every week. Or some of them are just, hey, do you believe in this? Yes, you may join. So even within the faith-based health shares, there are going to be some differences as far as um, what are required of the members that join. I'm like, how do I say this? Okay. But then there's the non-religious health shares. Some consider them more secular. They are non-religious. These are the ones that say, do you believe in a higher power? And that's really as deep as it goes as far as religious or um, religion goes from those. They are more secular, non-religious, and those will still, they may not have faith-based requirements, but all health shares will have some sort of lifestyle requirement that they want you to agree to before you join. For example, they don't want you to do illegal drugs. They don't want you to be what would be considered like a diagnosed alcoholic. Those are the things that would prevent people from getting their medical bills paid for if they were to, let's say, have a DUI, because that is an illegal activity. They are drunk while driving and they get into an accident and they need medical attention. I'm pretty sure every single health share that I can think of is going to say, hey, this is not going to be an eligible medical expense that we are going to pay for because you went against our lifestyle requirement agreement. So I think for a lot of people, that's not going to be a problem. But if that is something that does not align with your lifestyle, your standards, or how you feel about things, that might be a deal breaker for you as far as whether health share is even a good fit for you and your family. But look at you, your spouse, your kids, your teenagers, and look at those lifestyle and religious beliefs and see, because eligibility is usually tied into those things. Okay, so another thing that I want to bring up is caps and limitations on sharing. I know I've already talked about this quite a bit. This is something that I'm really passionate about, but make sure that you are looking at the caps and limitations on sharing to make sure that you are comfortable with it. I think some of the biggest critics of health shares, they talk about, oh, there's all these caps and limitations. Well, some health shares do have caps and limitations, but what they aren't telling you is there's plenty of health shares that have no caps or limitations on sharing. And those are the ones that you want to look for. Those are the ones that you want to, that I would look further into and consider joining because of that. Because I'm so passionate about having caps and limitations on sharing. So, but yeah, you want to make sure that if something were to happen very unexpected, because it always is, it's always unexpected. No one's expecting to have a $1, $2, and $3 million plus hospital bill. So you want to make sure that you're joining a health share that will take care of you in the most unexpected moments. Okay, next thing is preventive care. I would say most health shares will have some sort of preventive care sharing available to them. And I actually asked a question both on Reddit and Facebook, and I said, hey guys, do you even care about this? And I was surprised, but kind of not surprised that most people did not really care about this. This was not really a reason to join or not join a health share. It's like, okay, great. We get some annual wellness visits reimbursed or paid for. Great. But that wasn't really something that most people cared about. But if that matters to you, that's something to definitely look into. What preventive care do they offer reimbursements for or will pay for? And to what amount? Because some of them will have caps and limits on I'd say most of them are pretty reasonable. For in my case, when I was on, um, well, a certain membership with my health share, they have two memberships, but one of the memberships paid for preventive care at the time, and everything was very reasonable as far as what they paid for. So, but if that's something that you care about, definitely look into. Another one is prescriptions. A lot of the health shares will offer prescription discount programs. They'll have some kind of program where they will help you find um, discounted prescriptions that, and so if that matters to you, that's something that I would look into. And um, when you're looking at the total monthly cost, I would bake that into that cost to see what would it cost for you to pay for your prescriptions through these discounted programs, especially if you're going from health insurance or paying for it cash yourself. What does that all cost you? Okay, another thing that a lot of people are not aware of, but some health shares will have network restrictions and some do not. And so that matters, especially when there is, fair market pricing coming into all this. So you may go to a doctor and they charge the health, they charge $10,000, and maybe fair market pricing is $5,000. And because you didn't go with a doctor in network, then the health share will only pay up to $5,000. That could be something that would not be a good fun surprise to have. So make sure that when you are looking into a health share, do they have network restrictions, and do they have a fair market pricing requirement baked in to whether they will pay for your medical needs or not? And like I said, some health shares will do this and some health shares will not do this. And so, me personally, that's something I don't want to have to worry about. So, I've chosen a health share that has no network restrictions. And that's something that I lean towards. But again, everyone's different. And what works for me may not work for you. But that's something to at least be aware of before you join any health share. Okay, next, something that I also want to bring up is pre existing conditions. I would say for most people, this is going to make or break whether you even join a health share. Is do you or someone in your family, immediate family that would be joining this membership with you, does anybody have a pre-existing condition? Because if they do, you want to look at, okay, well, what is this costing me? What is this going to cost me on a monthly basis? Can I pay for this myself? Is the health share going to get involved or not? Because every health share will have a 1 year waiting period where they will not pay for anything related to a pre-existing condition or a pre-membership condition. Um, and so if you are paying for these things on your own, whether it's a prescription or any type of health care, Is that something that you can manage on your own? Is that something that you can manage through a direct primary care doctor or any other way? Those are the things that you need to think about. I have talked to people that do have some chronic conditions, and they have found that even with paying cash and having a health share for like the other stuff, the unexpected that may not be related to that pre-existing condition, they found that they still save money having a health share, choosing a health share, and then just paying for cash for the things that they needed to handle their chronic condition. Um, I think that could work for some people and that might not work for others. And I think it just really depends on what your pre-existing condition is. And so I can't say one way or another what you should or should not do, but that's something to at least look into further and talk to the health shares that you are looking at joining and discuss with them what this actually looks like in real life if you were to be a member with that health share. Okay. Um, Another thing that I would also look into if you are um, looking to add to your family or looking to get pregnant or whatever it may be, look at the maternity section of the health shares that you're looking into joining. Some health shares will have caps and limits specifically on maternity care, maternity health care. Some of them will have uh, some different restrictions. Some of them will have benefits and say, hey, if you have a home birth or give birth at a birthing center or need a doula or something, they'll have different assistance on there. So if those things matter or if that's relevant to you, that's something that I would definitely look into. As far as the caps and limits, that kind of goes into um, the overall caps and limits that I was talking about earlier, but some of them will have specific caps on maternity maternity benefits and NICU benefits and things like that. So you want to make sure that those things are included. As I've said before, that's something that's near and dear to me because I had a NICU baby and very unexpectedly had a almost 6-month NICU stay. So you want to make sure that if worst case scenario happens, you want to make sure that the health share that you chose is going to be able to handle the unexpected in your life. Okay, next, I would look into the bill submission process. What does it take to submit the medical bill to the health share? How are they even going to pay for that? Like, how does this work? That's probably the best way to explain that is go to whatever health share you're looking at, and they usually have how it works. How does, such and such health share work? And look at what is the process for submitting a medical bill and getting them paid. That's simply it. That's something that you want to make sure that you understand and that you're comfortable with. Generally speaking, the health share usually does not get involved with your doctor. It's something that you work with. You work with your health share on the back end without your doctor even knowing about it. They look at you as you're just a self-pay patient. But typically speaking, if I were to get have a medical need, I would go to the doctor and say, hey, I am self-paid. I'm looking for any self-pay discounts that you have. I'm looking for an itemized bill and any receipts that you have, if you've paid for anything. And then you take that on your end and you submit it to your health share. What is the health share going to do with that information? And also a little side note, how long do they take or say they're going to take in paying for those medical bills? Some health shares are known for being really fast with paying for paying for medical bills for their members, and some are known for kind of taking a while. So they still will pay for it, but they might have a backlog or might take a little bit longer than what they say on their website. And so, and that leads me into another point. You want to make sure that you're reading the member reviews. Yes, the member guidelines are 100% without a doubt a requirement in my book. Before you join a health share, I highly recommend reading through the member guidelines, making sure that you understand it. If you have any questions, write those down, contact the health share, and make sure that you ask those questions. Okay, if I was in this scenario, how does that actually work with your health share? Like, what would you do? What would be my responsibility? What would you guys do? How would you handle it? Make sure that you're asking the questions, contact them. Um, that's also important, but it's also important to read through the member reviews and see how real members are talking about the health share that they've joined. Um, that's also another good feel. Every single health share is going to have good reviews and some other reviews that might not be as great, but some of them will have a pattern and they will tell you a story. They will let you know if this is something that you should move forward with or not. Um, with that said, let's see, is there any? I have little notes. I want to make sure that I cover everything here. With that said, if you are looking at health shares and you want to get some help figure out which health share is right for you, I do have a free guide below where I talk about some of this and some red flags to avoid with a health share. They go along with what I've been talking about today. But also, I have reviews on my website, and that is something that I'm going to be pushing more is trying to get more members to write their reviews on my website so we have one place to talk about it. Also, I have a Facebook group that I launched recently and I am trying to get members talking to each other. And it's pretty cool because you can talk to people from other health shares. You can talk to people that are looking to join a health share. You can talk to people that have been with multiple health shares or they've been with a health share for years, and we can all kind of help each other out with this whole process. So be sure to check out the links below and see if that's something that you would like to do is talk to other people about it. So anyways, if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment below. I'm happy to help, and I will see you guys on the next video. Bye.